Let's get nuts.
Alright, John, take it away.
So we're back into it again with the mugs of teas and all. So we're primed and ready to go. We've Andy in today. So coming in, Andy.
Oh, thanks for having me,
Welcome
guys.
to the show. It's a massive show. You're going to be recognised now when you walk down the street tomorrow. But
We've cut a bit of a deal. What will we give you? We'll give you 10% there if he listens. But
Discuss my fee later.
yeah, we said we'd bring Andy in because Andy was at the pyramids and Jesus, mad into the pyramids anyway. Must try and get there at some stage. But how long was it when you were there, Andy?
It was back in 2018, and yeah, I was fortunate enough because two really good friends of mine, married couple, they had travelled around the world just doing teaching, English in a foreign country, and herself was a fully qualified primary teacher. So anyway, they went all around the Middle East and stuff like that, but they ended up in Egypt. So they lived there for five years. So, but before they were going to have their they had the first child over there, but they had made plans to come back to Ireland. So they said, "This is your last chance. So come out over and stay with us."
Oh, really?
So it was great, and because I went over to see them, it's a lot more of kind of genuine Egypt.
Yeah.
And just went around all the different neighbourhoods and stuff. And from his back garden, you could see the pyramids.
What?
really, yeah.
Yeah, you just walk up the back and the pyramids were there and the whole lot.
Have you pictures of that in your phone?
I do actually.
Yeah,
I must
we might
break
stick
out the phone and
We could actually stick that up there, even
Yeah,
though
yeah.
if it's
Yeah.
so that was it. So myself and another mate of mine who's Irish but he lives in London, so I picked him up in London, and then we went straight to Cairo, met up with the lads, and after that then he had a kind of an itinerary all set up for us. So first for Portugal was the Giza plateau, so I went to see the three main pyramids there and the Sphinx.
Yeah.
And it was just mind blowing.
And how many did you do? A couple of days, kind of like, or did you just kind of do a 1 day thing, or?
Well, I was there for 2 weeks,
Right.
so I got to see quite a lot. And the thing, so basically, we saw the pyramids, went to Abydos, Dendera, and then we travelled down to Luxor. And most people would travel from Cairo to Luxor via plane. It's practically unheard of to drive there.
You drove
in an old Hyundai, which my friend had, and that's what we did. We drove across the desert to Luxor.
Jesus.
So it was some adventure because, and it was a bit dodgy because if we broke down, we would have been badly stuck, like.
Fucked, like, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
All sounds like just nothing but desert.
Well, mostly, a big motorway going down through nice mountains and sceneries. If you're close to the Nile, it's green.
Okay.
But if you come away from the Nile, then it's just complete desert.
And how long of a drive was it down?
I think it was about, took us a whole day anyway. I'd say if you're going direct, it'd probably be about 9 hours, I'd say.
Right. Is that where the Valley of the Kings are?
Yeah, Valley of the Kings is down in Luxor, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Tis mad, like, you'd hear man about the Valley of the Kings, but they say, like, that's amazing anyway, so you were down there, you know yourself, but from pictures I see, that looks amazing, whatever, all the hieroglyphs and... but sure, it's amazing the way they say, like, the pyramids, there was not one hieroglyph that was ever found within them 3 pyramids, like.
Yeah, it's correct, yeah. That's the most bizarre thing about it. I think, well, the one thing I would say is that a good 95% of everything you see was built. You could see how the dynastic Egyptians would have built it. Now, unbelievable though. I mean, you're talking gigantic statues and...
Crazy.
Just unbelievable, breathtaking. But the pyramids is still a mystery to me. The Sphinx as well, and then you have the sarcophagus of the Serapeum.
Yes.
They're massive black sarcophaguses, or sarcophagi.
Yeah.
But they're 60 tons. The lids are 25 tons. And they're in this cave. And the cave itself, in some parts, is actually smaller than the sarcophagi. So you're thinking, how the hell did they move them
How
from
the fuck they get in
down this tunnel? And they put them in these kind of niches. And there's a load of them. I think there's about 20 of them or so.
And how big are they?
Jesus, they'd be, with the lid on, would be at least, I'd say 8 foot tall.
Right.
And say about 5 foot wide. And then long ways then it'd be probably about 8 foot or so.
Right.
But I think the weights that I got on it was actually no, sorry. One of them is 62 tons.
There's 24 sarcophagi inside.
24, that's it. Yeah.
Jesus
And
Christ.
who run these things?
Well, they say that they had sacrificial bulls put in them, and that's why they were so big to fit a bull inside it.
Right.
Or that's what they reckon anyway. But most of these things were opened anyway, and grave robbers throughout history would have took what was ever inside of them. But I think they did find remains of some sort of bull, or some bull remains, bones or something like that in one of them. So I think that's kind of what brought them to that conclusion. Plus, before all the main Egyptian gods, they were big into bull and cow worship.
Right.
So Hindus are the same as that, and a few other cultures as well, Minoans and stuff, they're big into the bull symbolism. The weirdest thing about those was they were just black, they were black granite, diorite and basalt.
Diorite is fucking
Which are
extremely
very,
hard.
very tough stones. But they were so smooth, they were as smooth as that. They were as smooth as that.
Less table.
And shiny.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, how the hell did that? And flat. Perfectly flat. But then there's hieroglyphs etched onto them. But the hieroglyphs are done on really roughly, like scribbles almost.
Right.
And by looking at them, you could sense that these were done way later. So the mystery is who the hell built these things? And if they built them, and like I had been saying before, they built things like this because they found it perhaps easy to do, or maybe not, I don't know. But to try and polish those stones, it kind of boggles the mind, because all the tools and stuff that they should have had, or that they said they have had, was copper chisels. And grinding stones and stuff like that.
And the grinded stones is crazy,
but that to make it shine like that on something.
But sure, like, do you ever see?
Takes so much work.
Do you ever see the videos? And there's some stones, I think, where they have just the round grinding stones, and where people can kind of bait away on these stones. I think it's beside the pyramids. I'm not sure, but they say that you can do it for yourself, try it out, and you're just breaking off dust. So imagine, as you said, making that as flat and as square as you can to that,
and shiny as well.
Shiny granite. How the fuck they do?
I ran my hands along it, and it was just like running your hand along the surface of the table. And you're just like, how the hell did they do this? I mean, even if somebody was doing that in a circular motion, it's not going to be perfectly flat. It's going to be kind of indented, or from the scrubbing, unless that's some way of scrubbing the whole surface in one line like that, or with one action somehow. I don't know.
Like that lad.
That's a mystery to me. That those things.
That lad that I talked before about. We've talked about before. I think here. Uncharted X is the name of his YouTube page. You can find him on Spotify as well. Ben Van Kerkwick's his name. I think he's Australian or from New Zealand or something. But his whole thing is he's an engineer in background. That's where he's coming from, and he's done countless visits out to the pyramids and these ancient sites, and he's got teams out so you don't really get permission, and no one really gets permission to work or to rightly study these fucking stones or sarcophagus or whatever, but he reckons his YouTube channel is phenomenal, but he reckons that there was some ancient cutting tool that had to be used, like a saw or something, because there was no way, it's too precision. There's too much precision there, and the right angles of all these sarcophagus, and there's hinges, hinging points, holes that were drilled in the corner of these stones for either doors or something, and they're in the corner of the stone. So the mainstream archaeology says that it was hand drills from copper drills or copper drill bits, but there's no way that you can actually, from what they have at the local the Cairo museum, there's no way that you could actually drill the holes in the corner with the hand drills of what they had to use something else, and they're completely symmetrical, and they're baffled. They're literally baffled. So if an engineer is baffled, that just tells you what you need to know,
Well, that's it. I mean, in the Cairo Museum, funny you should say that, there are there's a big sarcophagus in there, and again it's black. I don't know. It was black in colour. I don't know what it would be, granite or basalt or whatever. It wasn't sandstone anyway. But to the back of it, there was what would look to us today as a circular saw mark that's just going right into the back of it. But they stopped for whatever reason.
Wow.
And just left it. But it's there. It's a perfectly straight line cut like a saw would just go straight down and out. You can't do that with copper.
How are we going to make the mistake? Yeah, how are we going to make the mistake and you keep beating and didn't have that pattern there?
Yeah.
That's it just doesn't add up.
And in the Cairo Museum as well, they do have a section, a very tiny section of the builders of the pyramids. But there's like 2 or 3 glass cases, and there's literally just small little copper chisels, plumb bobs, and a handsaw about that big. And then like a double handsaw where maybe 2 people could go like that, and that's only about a metre long. That's it. That's all they found. And
what are the plumb bombs? What are you saying?
Plumb bobs, so you can hang it down to get a. It's like an old spirit level for all the world.
Oh,
so if you hang it down, gravity will make the straight line going down.
Right.
But you would have thought a massive undertaking like the pyramids, there would have been thousands and thousands of different saws and hammers and chisels and all kinds of stuff. But there wasn't. There was a very tiny collection of them there. Well, that baffles me. That doesn't make any sense.
Like when you're standing next to the pyramids, could you imagine fucking these things being built with fucking ropes and fucking pulleys and animal power?
It's to a point, certain aspects of it, yeah. But the one thing I'll say about the pyramids is they're way bigger when you're standing right beside them. And when you walk up to them, pictures and video don't do any justice to them at all. When you walk up to it, the base, like the foundation blocks, they're at least 8 or 9 foot tall.
Crazy.
And then when you're looking up at the pyramid, it is literally up. You're just like, oh Jesus, and it's really steep, really steep, and you're just gobsmacked by it, like. But I mean, back to what you were saying there. Yeah, I mean, the original idea that they had thought was they were using slave labour, and loads of like elephants and oxen and things like that to drag up the blocks, up a massive ramp, and they'd keep going up along, but. That's been since debunked because the ramp itself would nearly need as much material
people
as the pyramids themselves, and it can only be at a certain angle to be able to pull something that heavy up. So they've kind of that's not and then with the slaves as well, they probably did have some slaves, but the rest of them would have been really brilliant stonemasons.
Yeah.
Because a slave doesn't know how to cut stone and do all this kind of work.
No.
Could just do the heavy lifting and the pushing and stuff. But I reckon, but I did hear since another theory was that it wasn't so much slaves, it was literally an army of expert stonemasons.
But like
all working there and working on it together, willfully. Getting paid in food or whatever of the pharaoh at the time. But if it was the pharaohs that built them.
They say the Great Pyramid was built in 20 years, is that right?
That's the other big thing. You're just looking at it kind of going, how the hell did they do this in 20 years?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Even modern buildings take...
Like I saw this cathedral, the name escapes me now, but I saw a cathedral, I think it's in Cologne, I think, and they were saying it took 700 years to fucking build this thing.
What the fuck?
Like from when they started, when they finished, all the little extra touches and stuff, they started building it in fucking 700 odd years ago or something. But
yeah, the 20 years thing, that's always something that kind of got me, and I was thinking of that when I was looking at it, because the emperor wanted, or not the emperor, but the pharaoh at the time, Khufu is reportedly supposed to be the pharaoh that wanted the Great Pyramid built, and he wanted it done before he died. And so they got it done in 20 years, and I'm thinking, how the hell? It's amazing. I mean, if it's down to just sheer brute force and ingenuity, it's just amazing.
But you're looking at that.
But it still boggles the mind.
That's a Sagrada Familia there in Familia it is, over in Barcelona.
you saw that.
Myself and the girlfriend in there, but sure, it was booked out in advance. Don't want to be booking it to go in and see a tour of it 2 weeks in advance. Like, but like that's still not finished, and I've just googled it there. That started construction in 1882. Right, and it's still not complete. Like, so in 1926, a quarter of the project was completed. So what's that? That's 14 years later. Like, right. So that's a quarter, and if you see that, like, okay, the architecture and everything, it's basically an art building. Like, it's savage to look at it. But if you compare that to the fucking pyramids that are there, like, that just doesn't add up. Like, fucking 20 years. Plus, you're saying there about that theory of like slave labour. But sure, is there like a mass fucking grave that's found near there as well? Like to back up that point, surely you would imagine there would be, where they would dump prisoners.
Would they
their bodies?
Like those people, if there was, would they be there 5,000 years later? Would be.
Oh, see, that's your two then. But surely you'd find remnants. But I suppose it depends how deep, and maybe there wasn't excavations around to maybe find dust from bones or anything like that.
It's well, like, even if it was a huge thousands of slaves or thousands of trained masons, even at that 20 years to build the pyramids, it's just unbelievable. And the pyramids we see today are just what's left. The original ones would have had the whole outer casing stones.
Yes.
They were actually taken in a mosque was built.
Oh, was it a mosque on it?
Well, there was one ruler at the time, Muslim, when there was a Muslim caliphate, and they took the stones and built mosques. But Christians did that as well.
Yeah.
So everyone was taken from the pyramids, but there's still so much of it left. But all those outer stones, and then
casing stones,
the casing stones, and then they would have had the pyramid at the top, which they reckon might have been gold or made of some sort of metal or reflective thing.
Picture the shine off the fucking limestone when the sun's beating on that.
Well, they reckon they were coloured as well. I think the Great Pyramid was white, so it would have been completely on the outside would have been completely painted with what's the whitewash stuff? I can't think of the name of it.
It was actually painted, was it?
Yeah, so it would have been just gleaming bright white.
I thought it was the natural colour of the limestone. That's not white, is it? No, it's grey. Yeah, that'd be grey, the limestone.
Yeah. But I think the other ones, the other two, one was supposed to be red and the other one was supposed to be a different colour.
Wasn't there someone as well, some ruler, was he Roman or where was he from? But I don't know if it's the Great Pyramid, but there's one of them pyramids anyway, one of the three of them. And you can see that there's a slice taken out of it, so he tried to actually take it down because he had such a massive ego that he didn't want that to, whatever he wanted to build, he didn't want that to supersede it, like. So they gave up halfway through, or whatever, through his job of demolishing of whatever he's done. He said it's too hard, he's not wasting the resources and the fucking slaves, whatever. I don't know.
Right.
I have to find out these now.
And the three pyramids, were they built at different stages?
They were.
Were they built to a different quality as well? Did I hear before that ones that came afterwards weren't at the same?
Yeah. I think the first one was the step pyramid at Saqqara, where the sarcophagi of the Serapeum was. That's kind of like steps going up to the top. They say that's the first one. But there's loads of other pyramids all around that area as well, which have crumbled down. And you're kind of thinking, are they older or are they the newer ones? But yeah, some say that the ones built afterwards are way less quality.
Sure, see the Bint pyramid.
The original ones.
There's a Bint pyramid as well.
There's the Bint pyramid as well, yeah. So they've been experimenting with pyramids in general. But with the Bent pyramid and the Step pyramid, it's much smaller blocks.
Okay.
It's a lot more manageable. Now it's still mind blowing how they put it all together. But as it's kind of crumbled, you can kind of see how it was kind of put together.
Yes.
But the Great Pyramid is still just mind boggling. The blocks are way bigger.
The name of this lad, Al-Aziz Uthman, he was a Saladin's son and the Sultan of Egypt, attempted to demolish the pyramids, starting with that of Menkaure. Workmen recruited to demolish the pyramid stayed at their job for 8 months, but the task was just too expensive and slow, so he abandoned it. That was in 1196 AD.
Yeah.
So, but
long time ago.
the theory, you'd hear now all these theories, like obviously the aliens one, but I don't go for that one. But you'd hear now of this anti-gravitational, that's the theory of how they move these blocks. So you're on about the ramp, and as you said, Andy, like they're on about this ramp. Sure, you'd have to make it so long, and I don't know, is it 20 degrees or something is the most it can go, just by you actually pulling the stones or.
Yeah, wasn't the quarry something like 200 miles away?
Yeah, it's 500 miles away.
I think, as one in what's the name of the country just below Egypt? There's a north and south. Aswan is the quarry anyway. That they got a lot of the stones. So they basically bring them up the get them from there, transport them onto the Nile. Get them onto some massive kind of boats. Because water boats can carry up to 60 tons or something like that. Bring them up, then transport them across, then start building.
Yeah.
Aswan, yeah, you're right, yeah.
What's the country?
It's Silsileh is the quarrying site. It's Egypt still, I'd say.
Sudan, I think it's northern Sudan or something or like that. Anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't say it here now when I'm looking at it.
But have you heard of this place in, just on your anti-gravitational theory, John, there's a place in Florida called Coral Castle. Have you heard of this place?
I've seen it, yeah.
You've seen it? You've been there?
Oh no, I haven't seen it. I've
Okay,
seen it on TV and so it is amazing, it is amazing.
Your man
500 miles
apparently
away.
built this place by himself. And he worked at night and in secrecy, and the only thing that he said was that he figured out how they built the pyramids and that he was using some sort of anti-gravitational technology that he'd figured out to build, because apparently this place in Coral Castle is fucking absolutely mind-blowing.
I've
To
seen
say
it.
that one dude
Did all that on his own.
And what is it?
Yeah, I think he showed there was one picture where they have a black box on top of a kind of a pulley system that he had, but nobody knew what was in that black box.
Right.
But he said he was able to, just pick up the stones on his own, do the whole thing on his own.
Yeah.
But then there was a kind of a doorway that it's, I don't know how heavy it is, but you can just push it with your hand and the thing will just swing around on an axis. I think that somebody broke it since.
Okay.
But when he built it, you could just push it with your finger and the whole door would go around.
Yeah.
But he put that up himself. And it is amazing. I've seen that Coral Castle thing. It's my.
What time period was this for?
This was in maybe 70 years ago.
I seen a video of this lad up on YouTube, right, and they were saying, they were going for it on the news, maybe this guy has figured out leverage and weight moving mass on like a wedge. So this fella in America, if you googled it, you'll find it.
I saw it.
Yeah, he did this massive fucking stone with, I don't know, maybe it was granite, and he had it on wedges and timber wedges and stuff. And just by the weight and gravity that it could move. But like, there's like how, that's moving it on a point and moving it maybe, so he was twisting it on his
he was able to
wedges.
stand them up as well, so like he dug some holes.
Yes,
and he
that's
was able
right,
to lob them in, so they're standing up, similar to the
That's
stacking
great, but how the
stones.
fuck do you rise them up to the top of the pyramid?
That's a different challenge altogether.
That's okay in the bottom course or something, or maybe 2 courses up or something you can do like that.
What your man did there would kind of explain some of the standing stone circles that we might see around Ireland, like the one out in Lough Ger. These stones are massive, and what your man did that day could possibly explain how they did it then, you know. But piling these things up.
2.5 million, 2,300,000 roughly blocks is what it took to make the Great Pyramid, and that's coming from that quarry, which is 500 miles south.
Yeah, good one.
500 miles. What's it from here to Dublin? It's fucking what?
120 miles.
120 miles. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Are you serious? No, but that's so. Then right, they're on about gravitational. Okay, if that's a theory, right? So, did you sure they're doing it now? Sure, for the last 2 decades, I'd say. They're starting to research into frequency, so how you can move things through frequencies, different hertz. So like you'd find this again on YouTube. There's a small little ball now, a small little plastic ball, and they're using these frequencies around the ball, and it's actually making it to hover. Like
I've seen that. Yeah, sound vibrations. Yeah.
Yeah, sound vibrations. Yeah, frequency of vibrations, frequency, whatever. But sure, did you go into? Is it the Queen's Chamber? There's some part of one of the pyramids. If you there's a loud echo, and it's due to the fucking shape of the room.
I didn't see the Queen's Chamber was closed. The King's Chamber we went into.
That's
Although
where
we
the
were shocked
sarcophagus-
because we didn't think we were going to be allowed into the pyramid at all. So we just arrived, and the guards were just on the door, machine guns and all that, and they were just like, "Come on in." And we're just like, "What? Can we go in?" He was like, "Yeah, but no camera."
Okay.
So I was just like, "Fine, I don't care. As long as you let me into the pyramids, I can't believe this." I thought we were just going to look at the outside of them, and that was it. So we went in and we climbed up through that this mad chamber.
So where was the
Kind of
entrance?
steps going
Timber
up.
steps.
Yeah,
Was there an
going up.
entrance at the foot of it, or?
No, the entrance that most people are using today is one of those holes created by an earlier
That's all
ruler
tan, so
that
it's
tried
like-
to just basically go in and rob it.
Okay.
Or see what was in it anyway, at least. So I think they just hacked and they went up, I'd say about 20 metres, and then tried to go in that way. So it's kind of, the entrance is kind of damaged, but that's so long ago now. It's historical in its own right, where you're kind of coming in above the main entrance. I think the main entrance had a collapse, but that's closed after the public.
Have they proven that there actually was an entrance? Or is that what they say?
I'm
without
not
actually
sure what
showing any
the original entrance was. Unless there was, but they ingeniously completely blocked it off.
Or maybe there
Just
wasn't a
after
fucking
brave-
entrance to this thing
brave
at all.
robbers.
Maybe there wasn't an entrance. do you know?
But that step thing going up and then brings you up into the king's chamber, it's just bizarre. Because on the roof of that thing as it's going up, it kind of staggers,
Yes.
gets smaller and smaller and smaller, almost like a Gothic cathedral arch or something.
That's right.
And you're just thinking, why the hell did they do this? Like, what's it for? What's the purpose? Because if it was just a normal square tunnel to go up to a burial chamber, that would do. Why build this elaborate stepped thing? And then apparently, when you get up then to the very top of that, you enter into the king's chamber. But there is a small passage that kind of brings you, so you're looking on top of the king's chamber. And again, there's gigantic blocks just stacked up like that, like a roof on the top of it. And again, you're just kind of thinking, like, it's almost like they went, how hard can we make this?
Yeah.
Let's just do the most impossible thing. We're just making it so hard for ourselves. But the king's chamber, like you said, was bizarre. There's no hieroglyphics in there. There's no painted walls, there's no pictures, there's no nothing. It literally looks like you're inside a modern day, like a water reservoir. The stones were that flat, and the lines between the stones were perfectly straight.
Because you can't fit a credit card or a flat
No,
card
you
through
can't. No, not at all. It's almost like a modern building, with big, huge blocks now, just perfectly laid on top of each other, and every line of every block that's stuck on top of each other. It's just perfect.
That's where the sarcophagus is. Well,
There is one in there's one in the corner,
In
but
the
it's not very elaborate. It just looks like a stone box and there's a corner broken
There's a
off.
corner broken off it.
Yeah.
Did you hear the theory of that? So they reckon there's a little chunk. Did you see? So you went up there, did you? Did you go into the king's chamber? So they say that there's a little part. There's little cracks or something inside that room. But the way from their research, they say that they're not cracks from the weight of the pyramids. What people were thinking, they're explosion cracks. So it's like something inside there forced out, and that's what caused them cracks. And they say as well, I think that box in the king's chamber, again, there's no hieroglyphs or there's no etchings on it to make it evident that it is a coffin, right? And that chunk, that corner that's missing off it, that it's granite, right? So the theory is that there could have been something inside it. So maybe it was a battery, maybe there was some chemical reaction, some liquid inside there that exploded that box, and that corner hit the fucking corner of the room or something, and maybe that explosion caused them little them cracks, right?
Interesting.
So then I think there's some parts of that pyramid where they've found like traces of these elements, right? So I don't know, I'd have to look this up, but I don't know, is it like hydrochloric acid or something like that? But it's not, it's like sulfuric acid, it's or hydrogen peroxide, I don't know. There's something like that anyway.
The theory,
But when the two of them are mixed, they're very reactive, so they cause an explosion. So and we've all heard this theory, like Nikola Tesla was saying that the pyramids, so people are thinking maybe it wasn't a burial site, maybe this was used as a battery, and that these liquids that were supposed to be separate from each other, which were causing the battery to operate, maybe that they mixed, and that caused an implosion inside the pyramid.
Yeah.
Because you can see these traces of these chemicals on the walls
Right.
of either the shafts, or is it the king's chamber or the queen's chamber? But there's they have found traces of these chemicals. But like the queen's chamber, right? So the wedges that bring it up to the top of the apex, and you're saying how mad is it that shape? But like, have you ever seen these videos of people humming inside her? They literally hum like this, and they'd be like, and it's all fucking amplified inside her.
Yeah.
So then bringing back to that point of, okay, frequencies and vibration, and if that's how you were moving things like they're doing now, using to move these little plastic balls.
Yeah.
And there's kind of a connection there. If you're moving blocks, these massive blocks, now it could be all bullshit, but it's just something that people are starting to open their mind to.
Yeah. No, it's a funny connection. It's plausible in a sense, because it's like there is I have a picture of it there as well, in the temple of the Osirian in Abydos. There's a picture of the flower of life etched onto the wall. And I reckon that would have been put there from students of, I think it's Pythagoras.
Yeah, Pythagoras too. Pythagoras himself.
Pythagoras. So he would have known, and he would have went to Egypt teaching the Egyptians at the time all about geometry and sacred geometry. But I reckon the Egyptians would have known as well, because do you remember I was telling you about cymatics?
Yes.
So if you put salt or sand on a vibrating disc, or if you rub it with a kind of a rubber, I seen one guy who he had this big, it was like an iron table basically, but he had like a rubber ball on the end of a stick, and when he rubbed it on it made it like a squeaky sound, like your shoe would off a ground. But because when he does that though, it makes vibrations go through the plate, and then all of a sudden on the plate it just turns into mad geometric flower type images.
What's that called again? Cymatics?
Cymatics.
Yeah.
But then you can get an electric one that actually does the frequencies in it, so it'll be like low frequency, it'll be like do, and then up to, and whatever frequency you put in, the sand will make a different picture.
Crazy.
It's mind blowing, and I reckon that the ancients would have known about that, and the way they would have probably maybe seen it was, like you said, when they're singing inside a place like that, the resonance of their voices or whatever could have actually vibrated against something that they had there to be able to see all these patterns. Or they could have had like maybe a big trumpet and blow into it, but on the end of the trumpet you like have like a skin, and then pour the sand or the salt on it. So every time you go, and do a different frequency or octave, it would make a different picture. So they would have known about.
It would have been more than what they're doing than just making pictures or something. Like there has to be.
But the thing is, did they have some way of making that go, way stronger?
Yes.
So it's not just making pictures; it's actually being able to.
There has to be a function there. There's no way that's just a byproduct of something.
The most amazing thing about it is, as well, is it's found in nature. It's like flowers, it's like the golden ratio.
Yeah.
It's found in flowers. It's found in galaxies. It's found in lots of spiral things, and they reckon it's the building blocks of everything. They call it the fingerprint of God.
Yes.
Because it's inside our bodies as well. It's out in the galaxy and space. It's everywhere. And everywhere there is sound, there is. So like if you think about it, if you're making this mad geometric shape appear on a plate via sound, when I'm talking to you, there's energy coming towards you, and vice versa. So sound itself is, it's amazing. When I saw the cymatics thing, I was just like, oh, how the hell?
Kind of jumping away for a second because you reminded me of it. There's these birds, now I don't know what they are, that remind you of what you call the tall, is it cranes that are here in Ireland, the tall ones?
Oh yeah.
With the long legs.
Yeah.
But these ones anyway, they were over in some housing estate over in, where's that place over in America? Is it Florida, is it? Milton, in touch with the hurricane.
Oh, Florida.
Yeah. Milton or wherever it is. But literally, if I can get up this video, I'll show it you after. But these birds, and they were like stalks, or like the yolks that I was describing. They were standing inside. There was 7 or 8 of them inside the house estate, and it was scary shit, man. They were caulking, but it was like caw, caw. and an eerie cock. It was like a siren that you'd hear on, you know, when if there's an explosion after going after. It's like they were warning the people something was coming.
Oh right.
Do you know, before the hurricane was actually coming, it was like. So then you're saying about sounds and stuff. Like if they can pick up different like frequencies or vibrations coming off the earth or off the air or something, sure it's like a dog or something on birds. Sure, before disaster strikes, if like there's, I don't know, don't they say a massive hurricane or like tsunamis and stuff, sure birds just take off like in flocks.
Yeah.
Like they're obviously picking up on something, and maybe that could be a frequency.
Earthquakes coming.
Yeah.
As well. Dogs as well. Especially.
There's some animal that puts their ear down to the ground, isn't there? Is it like a mole or something? Before an earthquake.
Yeah, there probably is. Yeah, there's probably loads of animals that do it.
Yeah.
That's the thing with animals. Like their smell and their hearing is far beyond ours.
Yeah.
It's something you'd forget sometimes. Like, I mean, that's why fireworks and stuff like that drive dogs and animals crazy, because it's 10 times louder for them.
The Sphinx. What did you make of the Sphinx?
The Sphinx was a bizarre. Again, just standing in front of it, I was just like in awe. But the Sphinx, I reckon, back to like with the pyramids and the Sphinx, I reckon both of them are older than what they're saying that they are. And the original Sphinx wouldn't have probably had a pharaoh's head in it. It probably would have been a lion or something else. But that had either corroded or
maniac.
Put my face on it instead.
Yeah.
So, but again, the interesting thing was I was close enough to be able to see the weathering. Do you remember the theory of
water erosion?
It's got to be older because of the water erosion. Yeah, you can see the cracks coming down.
Right.
And I mean, originally that would have been all covered, because the Sphinx originally was just covered with sand right up to its neck. But then when they dug down and all around it, you could see all those cracks and stuff. And if that's water erosion, you got to be wondering, where did all the water come from and how far back was that?
Yeah.
That goes to Robert Schoch's work, like, doesn't it? That fella, it's like he's a geologist, isn't he?
Yeah.
But he works like, so he kind of he's one of the believers of like the Younger Dryas impact theory that happened 12,000 years ago, and there's this massive rainfall, so possibly a massive asteroid which drove a rake of dust into the air probably or something, caused maybe worldwide or continental wide earthquakes and tsunamis and stuff, and basically heated the earth, I think. So then after the heat, maybe there was a lot of rain in, so basically fucked up the weather on the earth for a while. And that's the theory. They say these irrigation marks on the Sphinx is evidence of that, because obviously, what is it there now in Cairo? It's a forest. Oh, sorry, it's a desert. So they say back then that it was a lush, possibly it was a lush rainforest. So there's evidence of that. But he said them irrigation marks only come from constant rainfall. So they reckon there could have been a couple of years straight, solid of torrential rain, and that's what dug into the stone. And it's evidence there with the cracks on the Sphinx. So if that's there, that goes back to the time of, I think it's 12,000 years before that. So 12,000 years ago would have been that massive rainfall. So that predates what we think and what mainstream archaeology say that the Sphinx is, that it's only like 3,000 or 4,000 years old. But sure, like, it couldn't be, because it was a desert at that time. So then, like, they're saying, okay, maybe it was inherited. So maybe it was there. So there could have been an ancient civilization. They're still Egyptians, right? But not the dynastic, not the dynastic ones than what they're saying. Ones that predate them. And then that possibly the pyramids were built around the same time by that ancient advanced Egyptians, and then they're inherited. And as you said, it's not in proportion the head of the pharaoh that's there now to the body of that lion, and they do believe that it was a lion there. And they're after finding as well, but they didn't find, like back in the 90s I think, they found a chamber underneath the back of the Sphinx. And there's been people that have tried to get down there, and when you get down there they say, didn't one famous explorer go down there and he was missing for a couple of hours, he came back up and said, there's nothing there, it ends after a couple of metres or something. But why is he there so fucking long? And it's closed off as well. It's closed off from the public now. You can't go down
I think
there.
he's the guy that's he partnered with your man Dr. Zahi Hawass.
Yes.
So he's the chairman of the Egyptian Antiquities or whatever. And of course, him and of course Graham Hancock. They never see eye to eye. Yeah, I think they had a big argument at a conference once. So Zahi was like, "Get away, you charlatan!" And then Graham Hancock's like, "Tell us the truth."
But I suppose you get these guys, they've invested their whole lives, they've got a PhD in Egyptology, and then some wanker geologist comes along and goes, "No, but sure, there's water erosion here, lads."
But sure, Graham Hancock's only a journalist, but he's put the amount of study in. Like, his recall is unbelievable if you ever listen to him on podcasts and stuff. The information that he comes out with.
Yeah.
But sorry, I said water irrigation, water erosion, I should have said. But so then you have your man Randall Carson, who's he's a geologist, and he's like lecturing and everything. He has the background to know his shit, like, and he plays into into that idea as well of the Younger Dryas impact theory. And so Graham Hancock, he's another series actually coming out on Netflix. It's going into the Americas. So if people haven't come across it, Graham Hancock, he's been on Joe Rogan about it times. He made Ancient Apocalypse is the name of his series on Netflix. It's well worth it. Goes through these different sites. So you have Serpent Mound, which is in America someplace, and then the place of Derinkuyu over in Turkey.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever heard of that place?
I have, yeah.
The underground fucking chambers, and
It's like
made
a
by
city
people.
underground, pretty much.
But they say like thousands of people could have lived there.
Is that the place where your man discovered it through a fucking room in his house or something?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fucking...
He was knocking down some room in his house and found it. Yeah.
Found it open.
I think
and
it was back in the
walking-
80s and
he started
90s,
walking
and
into it, and
yeah.
it just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then he got afraid because he thought he was going to get lost.
Yeah.
And then of course there's the fear of gases as well could build up.
So that's
and
it, yeah.
knock you out. So he came back out anyway, and then when they went in, they were just shocked at how gigantic.
But why the fuck would you go to them lengths of building something down there and digging down there? Do you know? So then there's
Where were they hiding from? Or an impact event?
maybe
or
I've heard this idea before as well. So I would and what they gravitate towards is maybe there was a natural disaster, maybe there was torrential fires or floods or something that forced them underground, or else what I think could be a possible idea is, sure, back then, like thousands of years ago, there was a lot of tyrants around the place. People were fucking barbarians. Maybe there was some fucking kingdom, maybe, and your man, the ruler, was just like a Genghis Khan kind of figure, and maybe they were afraid of shite, and the only way they had to hide was down underground. Possibly that as well.
Yeah, because it's not something that you'd really build after a disaster. It'd be in preparation for it.
That's true, yeah.
See, that's it, yeah. But like that whole system, like there's water systems as well down there.
Yeah.
So
everything, stables and
they found
rooms for different things.
They found like donkey shit and fucking cow shit or something down there. So they've actually
Yeah, and like you said, they have little gullies for the water to flow down, wastewater going one way and clean water coming in, and air shafts all over the place as well. Like it's
yeah. The Serapeum, so that's not inside a pyramid, no.
That's kind of down in underground in a kind of a cave complex.
Right.
But it's got kind of a later built kind of temple front put on top of it. But that's right beside the step pyramid of Djoser. If you see the picture in there with the snakes looking at the step pyramid, the Serapeum is around the corner from that.
And just while before escaping, right? So we were on about frequencies and stuff there, and maybe they built it by purpose for that function. Maybe it had something to do with it. There's some temple. It's like a pyramid again. A step pyramid. Is it a Mayan one? I can't remember the name of it, but it is in South America. But like that now, they show, you'd see videos of people doing this where they visit it, right, and they'd be clapping their hands like that, and you'd hear the echo of your hands clapping against the fucking steps. So you'd hear your clapping be like this.
I've seen it, yeah.
Right.
You know, so okay, maybe it was their design there, and then at the sides of it you could see these serpents, and I think that they found traces of blood, human blood, found in the steps of there. So maybe there's the idea that they were doing human sacrifices, and the Mayans, I think as well. There's some story that there was one given day. No, I can't remember the ins and outs of this, but there was one given day where there was thousands of people sacrificed on the top of one, and maybe that pyramid will have to, you know the one I'm on about, yeah.
In Mexico.
In Mexico, I think, yeah. But and maybe that's what they did. They probably killed him above and the top of it, and the blood maybe poured down. there's some story and there's some evidence pointing back into that. But like they're doing all these LiDAR scans now and everything, and they're finding this shit like out in the Amazon there, right? They're finding all these roadways and all these pyramids out there, and it's like it's the city of Z.
Yeah.
The lost city of Z.
Yeah.
What's that story? A fella, a British, it was before World War II or something, was it? Or World War One? World War One maybe. And he went out exploring. He went away and came back. Sorry, he went away and came back looking for more funding to get a bigger team out there. And he got denied
twice. I think he came back twice.
That's it. He got denied it anyway, so he ended up going with his son. And the two were never found again.
Right.
Yeah.
They never came back.
A good movie about that actually.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be great, but
Lost City. I thought it was good.
it was good. I must watch it.
Sons of Anarchy.
But
it's good enough in it.
Isn't that the idea that they were out, that there's thousands of people living in these cities and to smallpox or something killed them off?
Yeah, that was one of the theories. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the jungle just grew up around everything.
But that's what they're saying. Like the LiDAR now is scanning a lot of these things and finding.
There was a
things
what was it,
underground.
about 10 years ago, a young chap sitting at home on his Google Maps decided to just trawl the Amazon forest and just look down at all the satellite images. And like it'd be just trees, but he actually found a pyramid.
Are you serious?
Just doing that, yeah.
Yeah.
So he gave the coordinates, the GPS, the whole lot, and he said there is something there, and he had like little pictures where you could just see the top of a structure with all trees going out of it and everything, but he said that's in the middle of nowhere. I wonder if that's a pyramid. And they did. They went to visit it, and so he found that on Google Maps.
Wild.
Yeah.
That's mad.
But it just goes to show how much of stuff is out there and that's still not. It's exciting because the idea of thinking that we know everything and everything's being discovered is kind of. It's nice to know there's a little bit of mystery about it, but there is tons of stuff still out there that we haven't even found.
There's these broken obelisks in Egypt, right? Like there's one famous one. I think it's in Egypt, but it's this massive obelisk and it's cracked down the middle of it. So it was cut from the ground, and then they just gave up, and then it cracked. So it must have cracked, and then they gave up. So they obviously abandoned it, and they went working on somewhere else. But I think it's that one, or maybe there's another one that they found scorch marks on these obelisks. Maybe it's not that one, but there's been they have found scorch marks from intense heat. What was this intense heat from? Maybe go back to 12,000 years ago. Or all these obelisks were, well, a lot of them were these made by these advanced cultures that are lost. Sure, it's like us here right now. So what's our main technology is basically the internet. The internet, right? So if a massive solar storm happened here, they said wipe out our electric grid, right? Yeah. So then, what would happen then? If there was a massive fires, so you see buildings here, sure, in 20 or 30 years, if they were left off, sure, they'd start to fucking to break up and everything, right? So, like, picture something happened here now, wiped out all humanity. Give it what, a couple of 100 years, and steel rusts, right?
Yeah.
A couple of 1,000 years. There'd be nothing left. And what would be evidence of our civilization? Majority of it's electronic. We don't have any scribings. We don't have anything on stones.
They'd just be finding stone circles and portal diamonds again. And
well, they might find the odd sculptures and things, But like, that's the idea. The Indians, I think, believe that as well. That things come inside. So humanity's been around here for this. They've actually found out now 300,000 years. It could be longer than that. So in the space of that time, do you think we're only advancing here, our civilization, in the last 200 years to this point, really, from the industrial age? 200 years. Yeah. So in 200 years we've advanced this much. And they're trying to tell us that in 300,000 years there wasn't phases where we have developed to an advanced stage. Maybe not to this way, but maybe in an alternative way. Come on, like that just does not make sense. It just does not make sense.
It's kind of like the original Planet of the Apes. At the end of it, he's walking along the beach, and he just sees the Statue of Liberty sticking out of the sand.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't realise that was going to happen, so I was like, class. It's a class idea, but the idea that, he's way ahead in the future. He's not on a different planet at all. He's... And but something like that could happen. I did see another documentary that showed that if humans were all to just disappear in the morning, within 50 years, most of the forests would be just completely overgrown and everything. And like I said, concrete will break down to dust. Iron will rust away. Plastics might stick around for quite a
Plastics
while,
probably
but they
would,
will
yeah.
eventually just kind of degrade or get buried by vegetation.
And then you'd hear this like thing of okay, if there was an advanced civilization before, like where's our plastic? Come on to fuck. Like maybe we're the only civilization that made plastic. Maybe they had something else. Do you know?
Yeah,
Just because we went our step of we call it progression doesn't
Yeah.
mean that another advanced civilization went the exact same way.
Yeah.
But like they're saying that I don't know, thousands of years that you would see plastic if you went to excavate. There'd be obviously layers down, but you would find plastic. But that does not fundamentally mean that the other civilizations would have had it either.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I was doing a bit of research there during the week, like, and they say that there was a nuclear explosion at the Mohenjo-Daro. Did you ever hear that place? So
Yeah.
yeah, so then like a nuclear explosion because I think that's the site where I think is it where bodies were found, was it?
Yeah, and they're all irradiated. They
Yes.
did tests on the bones, and
Yeah.
all the
yeah.
bodies are like splayed out as if, literally as if they're being blown
In an instant.
blown away, and then died all, like loads of them all together.
Yes.
It's like a massive explosion.
And they're like cuddled in, you can see like they're obviously
yeah, it's not like
families,
they've been all
parent and a
chopped to
child,
pieces by guys with swords or something. It's like they've all just gone
frozen in time
Yeah,
kind of a
but
thing.
they reckon that the bones are irradiated.
But
yeah.
then like they were finding huge settlements found by lidar. We were on about that in the Amazon, and there's one that was said to be the size of London from like the 1800s, and I think that's how they'd compare it to. And they found water management systems, concentric rings surrounded by water, which is similar to Atlantis, so the kind of theory Atlantis. So do you ever see the pictures, or you'd see like paintings of the idea of what Atlantis was? So like these.
Yeah.
Well, they say Atlantis could have been like a massive civilization, not just one one
Like a
point,
global civilization.
like a global civilization
Yeah.
that had. So you'd see like pyramids all over the world. Sure, they find them in China now.
Yeah.
But like, there's very little information given about the ones in China because they're overgrown with earth, or there's a lot of earth on them, and there's trees, and between trees being planted up there and stuff, or trees growing there, that ends up ruining the formations of rocks because you have the roots and everything getting into it. So that
Yeah.
kind of ends up ruining the. But like, if you have pyramids all over the world, like how can you, okay, then you going back to your point is okay, pyramids are maybe like a simple. Like a child would build something, if you laid bricks down there, maybe a child would, without looking at anything, without any outside influence, would build like a pyramid, and then the people say like, oh, that's just a human pattern, that a simple structure in idea, and that's what they're trying to replicate, and that's why it's just by chance that it's all over the world. But then like, how do we communicate? We communicate through wireless basically through the sky. It's like magic, really, like how we do it. Maybe there's some way of doing it as well. There's no way that out in the likes of Bolivia and in China and Egypt, and that they used to travel on boat and carry, maybe they did on boat and carry, on timber boat and carry all this information with them across the world. But it's very strange that you see all these evidence of pyramids everywhere.
Yeah.
And I've seen this actually funny one, well not a funny one, it's kind of a conspiracy theory about the wall, the Great Wall of China today, right? It's that fella, Brighter Insight, Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy, yeah.
So he works with that Ben Van Kerkwijk lad, that Uncharted X guy. So he believes as well that there's evidence of these ancient civilizations everywhere. So he's just going on the Great Wall of China. So the part that there's a lot of photos are parts that have actually been rebuilt or renovated, kind of a thing. But the majority of the Great Wall of China is broken down and starting to rubble away. And they say that through it's a lot of it goes under the ground. There's like 30% of it that goes under the ground, and there's parts of it, right, where there's holes for arrows, right, to be fired, right. So, and there's holes that are facing out on parts of it, but the majority of the wall, or a good lot of the wall, he was saying, have only holes for arrows pointed inward.
Yeah, I heard
And
this.
plus, there's other things. So the outside of the wall facing outwards of China is something in parts is only like 6 or 7 feet, and then inside where these arrows are pointing in, these arrow holes are like 20 feet. So it's like they were trying to keep something in.
Yeah.
Were they suppressing their people in there? Was there something fucking dangerous in there? And another thing, if you go on Google and just look up Great Wall of China, you'll only get the images of the. You find it very hard to find images of these areas that are falling away. Basically, it's basically all images of the touristy part that you'll find. It's very hard to find. So, is there information there that's lost there, in terms of stuff like that?
There is,
There has to be.
I think Chinese government have all that stuff on lock.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the pyramids. They're gigantic pyramids, and most of the world don't realise that they're there. But you can't get anywhere near them. There's only been a couple of the last couple of years. Somebody broke the law. If you got caught doing this, they throw you into jail for a couple of weeks or whatever, or worse. Who knows? But he flew up a drone over these gigantic pyramids. Like
This is China? In China?
In China, yeah. Now they're not the tallest pyramids. Like thing, they're kind of more. The base is way bigger.
Right.
And it kind of comes up and then kind of goes flat again. And there are some of these things that are in the shape of a keyhole as well. But they reckon, it could be an emperor's grave or whatever. But China won't let anyone in. Kind of like archaeologists out from all the world have been desperately trying to go in and say, what's inside? Chinese are like, that's up front, that's no. A, we're not letting you in because it's the emperor's thing and we're not going to disrespect the emperor. And B, it's ours. If anyone's going to do archaeology studies on it, it'll be us. Which is an awful shame though, because God only knows when they're going to open it up and have a look and tell us what's inside. It's like the tomb with the terracotta warriors.
That's on Netflix actually.
I mean, that's amazing. But these other pyramids are around China. There's loads of them around China, different areas. They could have all that kind of stuff inside them.
That's it, like, surely.
I'd love to know, like.
What have they found and what's still yet to be? But like, it's mad the way they kind of restrict the amount of excavations. Do you remember that video, Jimmy from Bright Insight? So Bright Insight is the channel there. Very good, look it up on YouTube. You were telling me, you sent this on to me now a while ago. He was on about the George Soros and the WF or something. They're after gaining control of Göbekli Tepe. So Göbekli Tepe. How long have we got into it? No. Göbekli Tepe, isn't it? Göbekli Tepe. So that's in Turkey as well, I think.
Yeah.
So that's like one of the oldest fucking monument site or monolith site that I think they say ever exists, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
so far,
there's only something like a small. They say there's only 30 or 40% of it that's been excavated, and through lidar scans they found a huge amount of it underground, and that crowd that have taken over. So basically they've put a halt on excavations for something like 2 or 3 generations, isn't it?
I think 20 years. They're not going to touch them for 20 years.
Was it 20 years?
It could be more.
I think it's like 50 years or something.
The original guy that started the dig, I think he's a German archaeologist. Him and his wife, he dedicated the whole rest of his life to it, and they uncovered what we know today with the T-shaped pillars and all of that. And did all that work with himself and his wife. But when he passed away, his last wish was keep digging, keep discovering, and show the world what's here. And but then the Turkish government moved in with the WEF, and Klaus Schmidt has something to do.
Klaus Schmidt, sorry.
Again, it's on the Bright Insight channel. He goes into it in really good detail. But they started throwing down concrete on top of it and put a kind of a roof over the top of it, which is fair enough to stop, weathering, erosion on the top. But they're ramming all these beams from the roof straight into the archaeology.
Jesus.
And putting concrete pathway all the way up to it, and a big concrete ring around it. So tourists can kind of go up along and walk around and go, wow, look at that. But your man's wife was invited back to see this. And she said it was the worst thing she'd ever seen in her life. She said after all his hard work,
trying to monetize it, like
to see them monetizing like that. She said the archaeology that they're after burying under concrete, she said it's just beggars belief. But that's what it is. It's literally just make money through tourism for the next 20 years.
That's crazy.
And kind of withhold any findings for themselves. Now obviously it is Turkey and the Turkish can do whatever they like with their land, but it's hard for the rest of the world to just sit by and kind of not see more of it. The whole thing should be just completely, and it's way bigger as well. That's only a small tiny section what we know of compared to what's there. Now they are still doing some excavations, but yeah, but it was just absolutely ridiculous to be building an observation kind of platform around it the way they did it.
Yeah.
That is.
Well, I think the controllers of the world, whoever's running the show, they're not going to let information out that's going to rewrite history. I think.
See, that's it. Yeah.
I think we don't really know when we are or where we are really, and I think they're kind of trying to keep it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
That Graham Hancock lad, I listened to another podcast there recently, right, and he was saying that he did a trip out to Bolivia, and he was talking. So obviously he had some guides, and he was in with these local tribes, and apparently he was told that the Ark Covenant is in Bolivia, someplace.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
The Ark of the Covenant. So the Ark of the Covenant is, what they say, is this box, and it's a tool from God, and you have godly power with it. Mm-hmm. But then, like, actually Ancient Aliens goes into it in one episode as well, and I know they're very out there. But they say they have a theory, well, coming from different people using their theories, but they say maybe the Ark of the Covenant was a battery. And so the whole story of the Ark of the Covenant is from Indiana Jones, remember? Mm-hmm. If you touch it, you basically electrify or you explode. Mm-hmm. So maybe if you touched it, it's because it was a battery, like you were grabbing onto immense power. So then link the Ark of the Covenant to maybe there's technology like that that's lost to power these cities, ancient cities, you know, and maybe that links to like that little the power plant of the Great Pyramid, that idea.
Yeah.
That originally the idea was that was in one of the pyramids, I think.
Well, with the pyramid, one of the an unusual thing we saw there at the pyramids, just outside the pyramids, were these massive, gigantic shafts. I'd say from the whole size of this room, going down, at least, like I'd be standing up here looking down, and I couldn't see the bottom.
Wow.
So it was just going down and down and down, but a huge square chunks like this. And another theory was that if you fill that with water and then have an opening at the bottom, the pressure of the water would actually make a jet of water that's so powerful that could maybe cut through stone.
Yeah.
Oh, never heard that one.
The pressure, it's like a hydropower station where the pressure of the water is coming down. The jet of water is somehow powering something, but the pyramids had something to do with it. So the pyramids may be the storage for the energy. But again, what these massive, gigantic vats were for, I don't know. Doesn't make any sense. And it wasn't like where they took the blocks out to build the pyramids. This was built specifically. So that's another kind of an interesting theory.
Yeah.
Maybe they had some sort of hydro power to be able to because you see it today in modern days. If you get the concentrated water, coming out, it's like a razor blade.
Hydraulics. That's hydraulics, like.
Yeah, that's what hydraulics. The other day there was a guy and he was cutting stone with water.
Right.
Just
You've water. You're big on. You water. What do you call it? Water just
cutting it like a fucking
literally cutting it. Yeah. So
that's one theory. They might have been able to feed the water from the Nile somehow.
Yeah.
Fill these vats when it's completely full. Then, open the bottom of it wherever it comes out, and then concentrate the water into a smaller space. And then it's coming out like a big thing and just
pressure.
So maybe they cut through the blocks with that, but then
but come here, you still have to build up that fucking height.
Yeah.
Or you still have to build.
You still have to lift them up. Yeah, that's the other side as well. Yeah.
You'll see as well they're using shafts. The idea as well that they're using shafts and putting like I don't know, bags or whatever they put in it. They're basically floating the blocks up, but that doesn't make sense because the weight of the blocks would sink anyway.
Yeah. And plus they'd have to be able to how to get the water up that high anyway.
But I think the whole thing about it is whatever about the size of the stones, but it's these blocks that you see with cuts in them and precision angles. And if they literally can't move them. Like, you would see videos there as well, they're trying to put massive blocks up on top of massive loaders and these massive like 18-wheeler trucks and the things fucking topple when they're moving, or else the tyres would bust or something. Like we struggle to do it with technology nowadays, so there's definitely something there.
Yeah.
It is. It's quite mysterious. And like with the King's Chamber as well, like I said, it almost does look like some sort of industrial room that wasn't a tomb. Because I went to the Valley of the Kings, and in the Valley of the Kings is where you have like all the
pharaohs,
The artwork.
Tutankhamun and all the famous pharaohs of all the pharaonic times. So they're all built into these caves in the Valley of the Kings, kind of hidden. I mean, if you were to go back far enough, it would have just looked like caves or just mountains, and you would know. But they never discovered again.
But even their statues, like, okay, we'll go to, maybe they were made by dynastic Egyptians, the statues, but they're just that work, but they were obviously ahead of their time themselves.
They were,
right?
they were.
To do them, to make them tombs, but their statues, they're so symmetrical. Like, how the fuck?
And smooth and well cut out,
Yes.
and a lot of times out of one block of stone.
Yeah.
So if you make a mistake, it's like, right, you have to start
that's
getting,
it,
you know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
Jesus Christ, like
So
the
almost as
attention
if they
to,
had,
de-
like, a
to
fucking some
detail.
sort of giant 3D printer that they were able to just
Yeah,
fucking make
yeah.
these things like.
And in Greece, right, and in Rome as well, these obelisks. So they reckon, like any obelisks that you see around Europe, that majority of them came from Egypt.
Yeah, they were taking
So
out of
there was obviously a
French,
trade.
you know,
Maybe
English.
they were trading them from Egypt, or maybe when Egypt was the downfall, it didn't came from the Romans, wasn't it? The Romans and the Persians, I think.
The Egyptians.
In the end, yeah.
I think Rome took over them at some point around Cleopatra.
Yeah, so maybe
Mark Antony stage.
Yeah,
Rome
so I think
was, I think at that stage trying to take over.
they probably took the obelisks from then, but all the obelisks that you see over there are from Egypt. Like, so maybe the
so
obelisks
much
were inherited. Maybe they made them themselves, but
Yeah,
no way
so much stuff
copper-chisels.
was stolen or removed. So like when the French went there, I mean the funny story was that the place there in Luxor, big massive columns, and so like back when Napoleon went there, so then when Napoleon was there conquering everybody and pretty much killing everybody all around, he did have some guys who were like one of the first archaeologists who actually cared about this stuff. So he went to this particular temple complex, and it's funny because you might have seen a picture there where there's like graffiti on the top of the thing. So back in the day, the ground level was way up, 20 feet up, and everything else was underneath. So his idea of clearing it out, his archaeology way of doing it was to build a massive dam and have the Nile flood the whole place. And of course when the flood of water came in, it knocked everything over.
Okay.
But it cleared away all the mud. It's just the only way he could think of doing it at the time. But it was just an interesting way of doing the archaeology. And then they've since kind of put them back up straight again. But before that time there was no interest in, like there was grave robbing and stuff like that, but there was no kind of like we want to see
they're probably harder.
curiosity to see what it's all about.
They're probably harder times back then too, like people
As
don't have to
well,
come
yeah,
from so-
yeah. I mean, you'd be like,
don't have
God,
to
this is
come from
20,
stuff,
25 years work of like just trying to dig around this statue. I haven't got time for that.
Yeah.
I have to go off and fight for Napoleon or whatever.
Yeah.
But when the French were there, they took a lot of artifacts.
Right.
And so did the British. Then when the British took over,
Sure, majorities
a
inside
lot of
the
the
British Museum.
Egyptians aren't very happy about it. They
They've a
want their
massive-
stuff back. Like
Yeah.
They have a museum opened up there now.
they do, yeah, and they can house it. And I, in a weird way, I think you'd be right if it was returned.
I can't wait to go there. I plan to go there in a year or two, and if I get out to the way
It's an amazing place. It
Try and
is.
get
You,
there.
you really, it's just.
and go to that new museum. What do they
There's
call it?
so
The
much
Great
to see.
Museum.
They were just
They're just finished.
nearly finished that when I was
Yeah.
there, but I didn't go into it. No.
Or no, it's actually open now. It was planned to be open later this year, and it's open now, I think.
Yeah. They were kind of halfway through it. It is. It's an amazing place. Is all I could say, and it's hopefully because of course they had the revolution back in 2011, I think it was.
Right.
So that caused a lot of problems, and there was a couple of terrorist attacks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Tourist buses getting blown up and whatnot, and since that time, tourism has really gone down low. And but it's sad because the normal people then can't make a crust at all.
Yeah.
Whereas what they were relying on people coming to see the pyramids and all that before. So I see a lot of people there now, and there's a lot of poverty there. A lot of people struggling. So if they can just sort out their political turmoil and get things back on track. I think
They'll attract more tourists.
Uh,
They'll attract more tourists in the end.
more tourists again. Yeah, because I mean it was always huge for tourists. It still is. And I'm not saying it's dangerous now, but I'm just saying it's not 100% safe either. Because it was funny, because when we went driving off down through the desert, two crazy Irishmen in an old Hyundai. When we got to Abydos, this guy came up, big army general kind of a fella. He was like, "Who are you and where are you coming from? What are you doing?" And we're like, "Oh, we're from Ireland." And
Speaking English?
Yeah.
Jesus.
And well, we're just driving down there to Luxor. And he was like, "What are you doing that for? And why didn't you fly?" And we're like, "Well, because he lives here and we have the car and everything, so we're just heading down there. Is that right?" And he was like, "Kind of, but I was like, where are you going to next?" And we're like, "Oh, we're heading to Luxor." And he was like, "Right, well, look, we're going to have to escort you through the next couple of towns."
Fair fucks to them though.
So, and I was like, what the hell? Next thing you know, this truck pulls up anyway, and there's all these guys with machine guns in the back, all wearing camouflage, the whole lot. And me and Kazi are like, "Oh, Jesus, what are we going to do?"
It's mad shit.
And they just went like that. So they drove us all the way through that town, and then got to another checkpoint, and then they handed us off to guys all dressed in white uniforms with machine guns. Then they drove us through. This was going on like for at least 2 hours of them.
What the fuck?
Handing us off to different military guys, and then the last lot all had big machine guns and the whole lot, and a big army truck. Drove right out into the middle of the desert where there was nothing.
Oh shit!
And I was like, "This is the moment. This is the moment where we never
go.
Give me your lunch money, jerk.
We never come back." Yeah. And they stopped. The truck stopped, and all the guys jumped out and everything like that. We're like, "God, they're going to shoot us and throw us in embarrassing under the sand, like."
Jesus,
There'd be no way of proving anything. We'd never be found again. But no, they were like, "No, that's it. Keep going down that highway through the desert, and then that'll bring you to Luxor. You'll be safe from this point onwards." We didn't realise, but we were travelling through an area that may have led us to being kidnapped.
Yeah.
Or
100% when they see the white skin, like.
So what they were doing was protecting us all the way along.
Jesus Christ.
Because they didn't have to do that.
They didn't have to, but the thing is, if a tourist dies on your patch, it's your fault. Right. So all of those guys would have got in trouble if anything bad happened.
And obviously that would affect more.
Yeah.
That would obviously spread across the world, and that would affect.
Well, that's it. It would affect tourism. It would affect the whole thing. Yeah. But like it was kind of scary, but it was kind of funny at the same time. But everywhere we went, when you say you're Irish, they were like, "Oh, Ireland." They love the Irish. Right. Absolutely. But Ireland were like, "Oh, brilliant. Can we take selfies and the whole lot?" Like, this is mad. But everybody was lovely. All the people were lovely. Didn't matter what side they were from. I mean, we went to visit mosques, and we went to visit Christian cathedrals and all this kind of stuff. But it's a cool country. It's actually quite more moderate than I thought it would be.
Right.
I mean, they do have bars and stuff. You can go drink a pint and all that kind of a thing. And
you just need to have your wits about you and have contacts.
You'd have, like, say, strict religious families, but then you'd have moderate kind of religious families, and then you'd have other denominations as well. So it's a really cool modern place. It's funny because it's modern 1 minute, but then when you look around the corner, you feel like it's 1,000 years ago. You know, a little old man going around with a donkey and a horse and cart and stuff like that. And it's almost like, it could be
different world. Like.
Could be 1806 or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, well worth it. Definitely well worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll start a GoFundMe on the channel.
Could you get the three of us out there? Yeah.
Supporters will send us money.
Yeah. Any what do they call it? A bit of philanthropy there.
Yeah.
Any billionaire there listening to us?
I'm sure there's 1 or 2 billionaires tuning in.
Yeah, definitely. Sure, look it. We'll leave it there. Andy, thanks a million for coming in.
You'll have to come back, Andy, because I'd say we could talk about this.
Yeah.
Go on for hours. Yeah. Oh, well, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
No, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
My first podcast ever. So yeah. Anytime you want to talk about ancient stuff,
cool.
I'm your man.
Good stuff.
Yeah, well, thanks for listening, Andy.
Alright, thanks, guys.
So, lads.
Thanks for listening.
Cheers.